Hi, and welcome back to Classic Models by Regular Dude and part 7 of the Meng 1/35th scale Jagdpanther G1. Alright, last time we left off with steps 17 through 22. Nothing really spectacular to talk about. There's lots of little parts and lots of paying attention to which version you're doing. So let's get cracking on 23. So the first part is C62, which is the roof plate. And if you hear any maniacal cackling in the background, that's my wife at her desk mocking me. Just so you know.
Let's get cracking.
Let's get cracking. Boy, she just likes that I say that. Kinda. So anyway, on with the kid here. So cut this upper roof plate off. Get that cleaned up. Now what I'm going to do, those of you that watch my channel, plug your ears for a minute. For the first few pieces, I will show how I remove them from the sprue and how I clean them up if you're just joining. After that, it'll just be, all that stuff will be done off camera. So I cut it off using my handy dandy sprue cutter, and then I either trim it with a knife and or sand it. So we got the whole roof, the roof plate of the superstructure here. So then we need we need a lot of C parts. So we need 20, two 20s actually, 24, 25, 26, actually 3 20s, and a 62. So let's get those. So we have 1, 2, 3 20s. Those are here. 1, 2, 3. Then we have 24, which is this one. 26, which is that one. 25, which is this one. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, that's all of them. So let's get those cleaned up. Very simple. Just use the old sprue cutter. Cut as close as humanly possible. And then on these, since the sprue gate is fed from the bottom, you can cut it like that and get rid of the majority of the sprue gate without damaging the circular edges of the part. Now this one is not like that, so that one I'm gonna have to be a little careful. So what I do on these round parts like this, I usually cut them at an angle like that and that, so as not to cause a flat spot. And then using my sanding stick, sand it to match the contour or the curve of this circular shape here, thusly. So there's that, and then we cut this one, kind of do the same thing. This one's a pretty good chunk, so I'm going to use my number 11 blade on my number 1 knife handle here. And then give it a quick swipe with the sanding stick like that. So then we can start gluing this stuff on here. So first let's do this one here, which goes over here, and there are locating pins to hopefully keep a person from putting it in the wrong spot. But let's see. So that one is not cooperating, so let's bore that hole out a bit. Like that. And then using, I'm going to use this, to me extra thin. Put some there and there. And there. Like that. So there's that one. Then we have C26, which goes up here, which is a periscope cover. But I need to sand off that little burr a little bit more. Couldn't see it from the top. Like that. There we go. Let's see. I don't think it really matters what angle that is, because it is a movable part on the real deal. So I'm going to angle it out a little bit like that. And then put a little bit of cement in there. Make sure it's pressed in good. That. Okay. And then we have this piece here, which I think is the I think that's used for smoke grenade launching, or perhaps flares, maybe. I don't know. So there's that. So then it's just a matter of putting these periscope covers in place. Possibly. And these have molded on weld detail, and if you put your glue on here, you smash it down good, it'll make that welded on, or that molded on weld detail, become one with the top plate. So it looks like a weld, not just something glued on there. That. And then we will do the same with this. this side. Make sure it's smashed down on there good. Splendid. And then I do one on this side. There. And there. So let me hold that in place and make sure it dries good. Just like that. So that takes care of step 23. All right, the next thing I have to do is glue in the periscopes. But before I do that, I do this. I take my knife and a straight edge, and do this. Cut the end off, make sure it's somewhat square. Then I cut a very thin strip like that. Then let's see, 3 E5s. So let's cut those off. Then, using this as a rough guide, I cut a little mask like this. Then I put it on here. Like that. So I can install these, paint the kit, not have to worry about getting paint on the lens. And once I'm done, if I remember, I remove them. And yes, I have forgotten to remove them before, because I just forget things like that once in a while. So I'm going to do those real quick and then come back. Okay, those are glued into place. So now I'm going to get E3, which is a sight of some kind. And attempt to clean it up. Now this is supposed to be painted, but I am not going to paint it until after, I paint the rest of the vehicle. So let's see. The one thing about clear components on any kit is the plastic is way different. You can still glue it with regular polystyrene cements, but it's a lot more brittle than regular model plastic. Behaves a little bit differently. Okay, so there's that. This goes here like that. And there's supposed to be another part that goes on here, but since it's totally below the thing, I'm not even going to bother gluing it on. It seems kind of weird. So I'll hold that in place. Put the cement on there. Get my tweezers. Make sure it's pressed down and square. Like that. Now it's not square, so need to make sure it's perpendicular. There we go. That looks good. So I'm going to set that right there and let that dry good before I start messing around with anything else. So while that is drying, I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 parts C59 and the hatch pieces. These are going to be closed, so I'm not going to do the interior detail. So I'm just going to cut the parts off. So we have a 67 and 68. We've got 2 each of those. And then the C59 parts, which are like the hinges. Alright, so all these parts are glued on, so now I can and I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put the hinges on first. That way I don't have to worry about the hatches themselves not being lined up properly. We'll put these on here. Like that. Man, that's awesome. And then apply some cement from underneath. That. Make sure they're pressed all the way down. And then put the hatches on. I'll have to clip off one side of the hinge pins because I don't know, I guess these are supposed to be workable, but I don't do that. There we go. So that goes there. And that goes there. Stellar. So put a little bit of cement there. And then do the same thing over here. Now I am am putting these in according to the way the instructions show, with the hatch with the circular indentation there on that side. I don't know if it really matters, but I figure it's best to stick with the instructions. Whoops, in a case like that. Voila. There we go. All right, so that takes care of step number 24. So let's set that down carefully and start working on this. Step 25. So we have some crazy stuff going on. So we need E4, which is this kind of scissor-like sight. C21. I think we have an either or situation here. So, yeah, open or closed. And you know what? I'm going with closed. So that would be C70. And C21. And C20. And C32. Okay, so there's those, so clean them up. So I got C20 glued on. Then we have C32. Like that, which is quite a little snugly fit there. That. And then again, this part here is not really necessary because it's down inside the hole and you're not going to see it. So I'm not going to glue it in there. And then we put the periscope in that's already been masked off. Actually, you know what? This is one of those ones. Sometimes whenever these masks, when I use these masks, it's just has to be applied afterwards because it's such a snug fit. Had to do that on the upper hole there somewhere. Or on that upper plate. So I'm gonna let that. Okay, so then just like that. Okay, so that's in place. So now I can glue that into the top here, and faces that way, and I'm sure that's something that swivels, so there's no locating pins or anything like that, so it can't be too crucial that it be facing a certain direction. But I am having it facing mostly forward like that. Okay, so let that dry, and then assemble this extractor fan here, C8, C9. C8, C9, and then you need to do the extractor fan or C27, which is just a cover plate, and I'm going to see if I can tell which one. It looks like the version that I'm doing just has the flat plate. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. Alright, so next, and not knowing which one's which, I'm going to go with the C27 for that hole there. Just because whoa. See, I'm just not sure if I need to use this one or this one. I can't really tell from the illustration on the color guide either, so that's what's got me stumped. I don't know, I kind of like this one better though. Let me see if I can see on the color guide a little bit better. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one. Just give me a choice. I'll choose this one just because. Might make it a little easier to paint. So cement there and there. Like that, and that does step 25. So step 26 is gluing that on top here. So let's see how it fits, shall we? So we got some ejector pin marks here that seem to be interfering a little bit. So let's check those. And then a little bit of flash on that weld seam there. Boy, that sounds horrible. If I say ow, it's because my wife's thrown something and hit me with it. because of that hideous noise. All right, let's see how this thing fits in here. That fits nicely. I am, how do you say, stoked. So here we go. So hold this in place. Take the old cement and begin. And I'm trying to keep a little bit of forward pressure so I get a nice, so it fits together nicely in the front there. So far, so good. Along that edge there. Like that. Make sure that's all pressed in. And then along the front here. Put a little bit of pressure on there. And it all looks pretty good. I got a little bit of a gap right there. Let's see if I can fix that. If not, I'll have to put a little bit of putty in there or something. Won't really be able to tell until after I get some primer on it. That looks pretty good though. Cool. So I'm gonna let that sit up before I mess around with the front. I'll go ahead and cut the parts off for the front, which is step 27. So there are two ball mount armor covers. There's one with like some like a step inside of there and one that's smooth. From what I read, I should use the step version. So that's what I'm going to do. And then we got 25 and 41, I think. Yeah, 41, which is the barrel. That's the parts there. Sand that burr off there. Quick thing to note, don't chop off this thing here whenever you're cutting off the sprue gate, because that is the tab that helps center this thing where it goes. actually, in looking at this, I think I'm going to do something different for this one because I've never done this before, and I think it's pretty cool, and I want to use this groovy piece of chain. So I'm going to put the cover over this, the cover and chain, because I think that would just look pretty groovy. So first, let's put this in place here. Oh, come on. Wow, there we go. That was difficult. So then we need part A11. See how that fits into this part here. Whoa. Because it shows it putting the ball mount in and then gluing this in place, but I don't think I need to actually put the ball mount in there. Oh yeah. Yep, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing, folks. I'll throw that machine gun with its hollowed out barrel via slide molding in the spares box in case I ever need one. So I'm going to let that dry for a minute. Alright, so I've got this in place, putting a good bead of cement around thusly, and then hold it in place there. Like that. All right, so here we go. I'm going to get my, for this one I am using super glue, CA glue, whatever you want to call it. Get it where you can see what I'm doing. So, got that there. So I'm going to carefully dip the end of that in the CA glue. I already test fit it, so I know it fits okay. Put that right there like that. Oh man, let's try it again. Hold it there for a second. It's not going to stick, of course. One of the many reasons I don't like super glue. The minute you put it in place, it just gets all stupid. There we go. So I need to hold it here for a second, so you're gonna have to watch me because I can't reach over and get my pause button. Okay, that finishes step 27 after much wailing and gnashing of teeth. They got that piece of chain glued on there, and that was just fun. All right. So next is step 28, the main gun. So let's go in order here because it shows you the order in which to do these things forthwith. So first thing I will do, get C41, 42, and 34. 34. It's right here. $34, 41, and 42. 41 on this side, 42 on this side. And I'll go ahead and cut off 64 and 65. Like that. And then we'll do 35 and 36. Here, here. And just to forewarn you, there ain't no painting of this interior stuff going on because we're not gonna see it. So there. So let's start with that and get that done, and then we'll come back and do some more. Okay, so I got 41, 42, and 34 glued together, 35 and 36. I'm letting that dry. So as that's drying, I'll do 45, 46, 43, and 44. So we got 44 and 43. And on that one goes C40. Do that one first. All right, got those parts cleaned up. So let's throw some cement on it. Stick that together like that. And then this part here goes there. Put some glue on the other side. Like that. And then let's get 45 and 46. Glue these together. Making sure it stays round. And then this piece here, it is directional. It only fit one way. There's like a couple of notchety things in there and kind of a little more than a half circle. Just gotta make sure that fits properly, centered up like that. Let that dry for a minute. All right, then this sub-assembly here goes on top here, and what I'm going to do is glue this part here. And then I'm going to use the glue to soften the joint here and here so I can get those positioned along this barrel part. Like that. And then on this side as well. Like that. So make sure it's parallel, that it's running along the axis. That part. So then we take these. This one goes on this side, and you can't mix them up because there's a tab there and a notch there, so that way you can't mix them up. Okay, so I got all those parts glued on. So the next part I need to glue these in place. So we'll start with this one, and they're made to fit a certain way. It's kind of a cutout, so it only fits one direction. So, and it kind of clicks into place there, which is kind of nice. I mean, it's not going to be seen, but still cool that it goes together well. So we'll go there and there. And then this one goes here. And it's made to go a certain way as well. This one's got a different kind of fit though. It's like a little more than a half circle. So it fits a certain way, and let's see if I can get it to fit in there. It's a little bit, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the straightness of it, just because I'm just basically gluing it all together without worrying about it looking too groovy, because none of this is going to be seen or painted or anything else. There we go. So that goes there. So let's put some cement there and there. Okay, so that takes care of step 28. So next I need to cut out C6, C66, C528. I'm going to go ahead and cut all those parts out and get them all ready to go. Alright, so I'm going to glue C28 and C5 together. And there is pins on both ends, but you want to look at the illustration. Shows this line right here, so this is where this goes. So let's put that right there, like that. Whoops, like that. I'll let that dry. This part goes here. Whoops. This pin goes in the hole of that. I believe it's a recuperator. The breech. Block. So that goes there. And then let's see. All right, so next I need to glue this part on. Actually, first I'm going to do this part here because it's tiny. It'll be easier to do. Like this. Just like that. And then this part, there's a little flat pin looking thing there, and yeah, like that. So let me turn around so I can put the glue on it. After I drop it a few times. There we go. Just like that. There's 4 pins on the other side of this that kind of rest on top of the bottom of this. The bottom of the breech. So even though this isn't going to be exposed, the detail on this gun is really actually quite nice. All right, so we got that. So the next part is I need C54 and C71. C54. Right here. C71. Which is there. All right, so there is a rectangular hole there and a matching piece right there. So this kind of fits in here. Thusly. a tough one to get in position. And it doesn't fit that great either. Looks like the peg is a little bit larger than the hole. So using the magic of modification, I trim that little peg a little bit so this fit on there like a glove. Ta-da, just like that. All right, and then this oriented like this part fits here. Again, there's kind of a U-shaped rectangular thing there that this goes into there like that. And then this cross piece here that's round fits into that. Like that. And that. All right, so that is the gun portion done. So now I need to attach C1, C51, and the trunnions. So C1, C51. C51. And then I'll go ahead and cut these trunnions out. Here's another one of those big, giant, wacky half globs of push pin residual plastic thing that needs to be dealt with. Trim that flush. All right, so let's see. So looking at this side of the gun, this little tab right here fits right there. Like thusly. And the pin on this goes through the pin hole right there. Gives you a nice solid. And then this lever goes here, and it's kind of a semicircle looking kind of thing. Fits in there nice and snugly. Like that. And then 73, the one with the peg, goes here. this one goes on this side. There's a couple of locating pins. Make sure I glue this up good because those trunnions are kind of almost cone shaped. I'm thinking to add some friction to the pins coming out of the side of the gun so it doesn't droop or anything like that. So that ends step 29. So while that's drying, we'll move on to step 30 here, which is the gun mantlet. And for this one we need C38, which is for option number 1, marking option number 1. Then we need C3, C69. All right, so I need to mount this here like that, and then this goes there. And I don't want to, I just want to glue the bottom part. I don't want the gun to be non-swiveling. And then that slot underneath the gun fits that slot there. Elevate it just a little. That fits like that. Put a good dose of cement all the way around. Like that. And cut these things off. That takes care of step 30. So let's let that dry. All right, for step 31, we have to attach the, technically I think this would be the mantlet. I need C61 with 2 photo etch parts. So let's find that. Yep, this here. And I also need to drill a small hole in this fitting up here. I mentioned early on, I think it was in the intro video, because that was an attachment, a threaded attachment for a lifting eye to make gun maintenance easier. There's a little bit of a seam there, so let's get rid of that. Alright, so we got that. So let's get the old drill bit out of here. And I'm just gonna kind of that's a bit large. Let's try 72. That should work. Kind of center it up. Actually, so I do get it centered, I think I'll make myself a kind of a pilot hole with the tip of my blade here. Yeah, there we go. It doesn't have to be drilled all the way through. I'm just going to drill it in a little bit. Like that. All right, so that's that. So then I need to get the photo etch pieces. And those are, let's see, X23, which are more of these small pieces here. So I'm going to wait till I actually get that in place. It's part of the foliage mounting points. So I can put this in place here. And in order to get it fit appropriately, there is a tab there that fits into a groove there. Alright, so for this one, I'm going to use my thicker cement. Alright, so now it's on to step 32. And I have to build the appropriate gun for the version I'm doing, which is version 1. So it's this barrel here. So I need C2, C29, C16, C13, and let's see, C22, and C12, and C47 and C48. And that's all the parts I need. Look at all those parts. Wow. So let's get those cleaned up. First thing I need to do is glue C47, 48 so those can dry up really good, and then I can sand the seam down. So I'm going to use the high-tech clamps I used earlier, and I'll glue these together, and then I can let them dry while I'm working on cleaning up the rest of the parts. So let's use like this. clamp them together and make sure they stay lined up. Don't want to step on this. So there's that. So I'll continue cleaning up these other parts while this is drying. All right, the first thing I need to do is I need to glue this. I'm thinking it's a locking ring for the barrel and the muzzle brake. So that goes in there. I don't know if it's a locking ring or what it is, but that's where it goes. So just put a little bit of cement there and there. And then the end of the muzzle brake. There, and it's not a very positive connection, but it's not bad. So let's glue that into place. Like that. So let that dry up a bit. And the muzzle brake goes on the end of the barrel. Just make sure it looks straight. Then this piece here goes there. This piece here, there's two locating pins. That goes there. And then I can clean this up. All right, so this is dried enough so I can get it sanded down. All right, then this goes here like that. Wow, that's a tight fit, so I'm gonna have to make sure I'm ready to commit. So let's get some of this here. All right, so I got this sanded down, the barrel's glued in. Now it's ready to go in there. Now there's a pin here, square pin, and a square hole on the inside. So hopefully, oh yeah. That'll fit no problem. So I'm going to use this cement here just because I can get it down on the inside with no problems. Just like that. Okay, so that's actually the last step of the kit. So now I need to backtrack a little bit and I need to install all these little fittings. So let me cut a few off and take a look, see how they're gonna work. Okay, so I got the first batch installed here, and I will show you how I'm doing it. So first of all, I am using, of all things, clear part cement and window maker. It's a good glue. It's kind of a PVA type stuff, but it's kind of a it's not as thick as this, and it dries clear, so that will help kind of fill in the holes where these parts are going. So I'll put a little dab in there like that. Then I take my decent X-Acto knife here for cutting this stuff and cut it. Now I don't know if I talked about it in my last segment, but as you can see here, the way it's shaped, it's this crossbar with these two legs. So using a 3/64 drill bit, I am bending it like this. And I found that I have to bend it just a little bit past completely circular, or you know, a little bit past just a U. And picking it up with my tweezers with the legs facing that way, bend it just a little bit more, about like that. Then what I do is I check it in comparison to the holes where I'm installing it to make sure it's the right width. Make adjustments as necessary. Then I simply dip the legs up to the little protruding part and simply, let's do this one. Press it in like that, and voila. Very, very easy. For PE parts, that is just stellar to me. So let's do one more here, just to show you that it's not a liver fluke. Bend it around. Grasp with the tweezers. check the... That one I actually bent too far. Well, let's see. Okay. Dip it in the glue. You could use whatever kind of glue you want. You could use for, you know, CA glue for all that, but I prefer not to, just in case there's any kind of problems. Put it in place, boom, done. Just like that. Very painless. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with these. Come back and take a look. All right, so they're all on the sides and on the front. So there you have it. So I think that is going to end part 7. And that pretty much ends it. Now, the only thing that has to be done still are these here. They just have to be cut out and hung on the sides, but I'm not going to do that just yet, because next time when I come back, because this is going to be the end of this video here, part 7. So next time when I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Kaizen tracks and how they go together and all that kind of stuff. So I'll do that next time, and then next time I think I will also be throwing some primer on here and maybe starting paint. It's going to depend on how long it takes with the tracks and prepping this stuff, because I'm also going to have to try for the first time this here, Mr. Metal Primer R. I haven't used it before, but I've been wanting to try it, see how it works on photo etch, because, you know, as careful as a person is or can be with photo etch, you can still chip stuff off. So I wanted to try something out and make sure that, you know, see how it works on the photo etch. So that's it for part 7 of the Meng 1/35 scale Jagdpanther G1. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, hints, tips, concerns, any of that kind of stuff, leave them in the comments section down below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. And until next time for part 8, thanks for joining me here, and I will see you all later.